Why does Ryan Clark take up for every woman in sports media every time something bad happens?
I can't say anymore. I'm probably already in trouble for mentioning it to well, we call you normies.
Most of you know who Ryan Clark is. He is a major contributor on ESPN. He is on mainly two shows, which is Get Up and First Take. He also has a very popular podcast on YouTube called The Pivot. He's had it for several years, and it's been very profitable, very entertaining. He's had various shows, him and his panel of other athletes on there where they talk about all kinds of different things, right? Well, recently on The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne the God outlined, or he expressed that there are major double standards when it comes to a male being the aggressor in a DV situation and a woman being being a main aggressor. All right. And listen to the clip.
She's so human. I feel like we've been growing with her throughout her career, and this is one of those moments where we're growing with her through something that we saw happen in real time.
I respect the fact that she acknowledged her behavior, but I just want the record to show it is a double standard. Because if a man did something like that in the airport and then turned around and just did a little video like that, y'all would be dragging him to hell right now. You wouldn't be on this radio sounding so understanding.
He would have lost everything
about the situation.
Yes.
Gone.
We don't know what she might have lost behind the scenes. We have no idea. There was a video that came out. You saw it on video. We don't know.
If Lauren don't know, then somebody lying. Okay,
you got to point that.
Every sponsorship would have jumped out the window and said we are no longer working with them.
But can we acknowledge that there is a double standard?
Yeah, there is a double standard because I will say when I saw the headline last weekend, for those of you guys who don't know what happened, just really quickly.
And it was a video.
Yes, so Sha'carri and her boyfriend Christian Coleman, who's a sprinter, they were in an airport, and the authorities in the airport were called because they said, there's a disturbance between these two people. In the video that was released after the story came out, you see Sha'carri, he's trying to get around her and almost walk away from her, but she's she shoves him into a wall, then she throws something. They said that it was headphones that she threw. So of course a police report was taken, and she was arrested and all the things. But yeah, I thought we were going to hear sponsorship conversations and all that stuff as well. And then the next thing I saw was this video.
Well,
I do acknowledge the double standard.
There is definitely a double standard because I'm telling you, so guy would have did that, it'd have been World War III on social media. Yes. And then if they'd have put out an apology like that, y'all wouldn't even be accepting it.
So you heard that, right? And I completely agree with Charlamagne. If Christian Coleman had been the aggressor, there would have been swift action taken in this situation, right? Coleman would have lost brand deals. He would have lost sponsorships. He would have lost his spot on the track and field team. Of course, being innocent until proven guilty, regardless of reason, they would have said there's no reason to put their hands on a woman regardless of what happened, right? It would have been all of that. And even on the panel of the Breakfast Club, they're talking about how, they need grace and, they're just a couple going through it and they've probably done this to each other before. No. How about sometimes the woman is the aggressor or the abuser in the situation and not the man, as they say, full stop. They're trying to paint this as this has been a back and forth. There was no back and forth. You saw her doing this to somebody in the airport and him trying to walk away several times, taking punishment, all right, just to get away from the situation. And then the police get called. He didn't call the police, where she keeps trying to blame him for while the law enforcement got called. But in any case, Ryan Clark comes out on his X page and he says this: Sha'carri Richardson's recent arrest prompted See the God to say there's a double standard when it comes to DV. I agree, but there should be. Here we go with the excuse making, right? The but part, right? It's not okay for a woman to hit a man, but there's obvious differences when a man puts his hands on a woman. I mean, thank you, Captain Obvious. We know there's differences and we know why. However, does it make it okay? Can we stop making excuses for women and just say, you know what? Nobody puts their hands on each other, and that's that, all right? If you have a problem with your anger issues, go get some therapy, because the minute you do that, both of us should be held to the same standard, okay? Because in the moment, there's no he's stronger, she's weaker, blah, blah. No, in the moment, you did what you did. Let's continue. Black women, he probably should have said women, have largely been protectors of black men. But Sha'carri's lack of self-control and immaturity put Christian Coleman in a dangerous situation with authorities. Thank God Christian Coleman handled the ordeal the way he did, aka trying to cover for Sha'carri. Because you heard what he said in the video, right? He's pretty much tap dancing with law enforcement so that way she doesn't get it locked up. However, there's footage and several eyewitnesses that point out her part in the incident, right? That's why she went to jail. Sha'carri Richardson has apologized, and hopefully she's learned a valuable lesson. What? To next time do this at home and not in public? Because, like, we haven't seen her lose any brand deals. Matter of fact, you saw that she's got a shoe line on Nike, on the Nike website. So has she faced any backlash, or is she just going to make her apology and just fall in the shadows and let this blow over? Will we do this with a man? Hell no. But my rant won't do it justice. We're going to play what Ryan Clark had to say about this situation because it's downright disgusting in my opinion. But let's see what Ryan Clark had to say, all right? This is, of course, on YouTube, but I got to give my fair use clause before we get into the reaction. So, fair use.
Charlamagne saying that it's a double standard in domestic violence from women to men is true, and it should be. Just throughout history, men are freaking awful, you know?
Here we go. Now we got to add some context to make it seem like, well, men are so bad. So if it happens on the other side, then we should give it some grace, right? Because men are awful. Yeah, here we go.
Like, it was the whole big thing back in the day. Would a woman take a bear or be on the street with a man that they don't know? That's not because they want to portray men as a certain thing. It's because men have been.
Okay, and he's talking about, the man or the bear in the woods thing that, is a ridiculous argument, right? But so some women would take the bear because we know what he would do. We don't know what a woman would, we don't know what a man would do, right? Yeah, another ridiculous argument that, yeah.
A certain thing. It's also because of the level of physicality between the two genders, right? Now, it doesn't make it okay for a woman.
Full stop. It doesn't make it okay for a woman to hit a man. End of discussion.
To hit a man. It doesn't make that something that we should allow to happen, but there is a difference in the things. I can see the difference. I know why there's a difference. And when you think about Sha'carri Richardson and Christian Coleman, largely black women protect black men.
Here we go. This is another excuse right here. Because black women have protected black men, that we should give some leeway, right? That they've been through so much that, well, if this one thing happens, it's not that bad, right?
Women protect our culture. Largely, that's something that black women want spoken about, that we praise them for. But there are these situations as well that do become aggressive, that do become violent. They are not without fault. But what Sha'carri Richardson has to think of, and any black woman that puts a black man in that position is what could be the next step for him. Right. In a world that doesn't value him, with authority figures who have had run-ins with unarmed black men that...
Here we go with the racism and the police brutality bit.
...turned violent. You've now put him in a bad situation. And I think those are the thought processes that sometimes when you're young and you're immature, you don't process in the right way.
So her frontal lobe isn't fully developed. For just $5 a month, please consider becoming a member of Welcome to Normanville. There you will find access to members-only videos and members-only live streams, as well as a host of other perks. Thank you for your consideration. Back to the video.
Whether it's the initial action or it's the second half of it where you're pleading with the police officers and saying his name in those ways and now involving him.
Say his name. Well, I'm not going to say his name.
In the second tier of it. And so, like, the thing for me would be protect one another. Both Christian Coleman, who did the right thing. You could tell he wasn't taught that you don't just retaliate or you don't retaliate. He was taught that you protect. He was taught that you keep your hands to yourself. He was taught that you love and that you support and you respect.
These are things that black men are taught nowadays, this mentality that, well, if she does it, you don't put your hands on her, you protect. And, to be fair, a lot of men, I was taught this stuff when I was young, and in my certain particular situation, I was taught this as well. And it's 2025 now. This world is different. The men are different. The women are different. The society is different. The culture is different. I would dare not teach my son or my daughter this at all. Like, okay, well, if she hits you, you just take it on the chin. No. We have police officers for a reason. And if you got a videotape out, if you got footage of this and she's the aggressor, guess what? You have the right to defend yourself, man or woman. We equal rights, equal left today. No. We're not going to cover for her just because she's a woman or because she's black. No. You deserve your freedom and you deserve your peace, and that should not be disturbed or taken away from you for any reason unless you're actually wrong, right? So, I rebuke that.
Because of him, I believe this situation was able to be de-escalated. But for her, she has to be smarter, man. And though there's a double standard, that doesn't mean it's okay.
Okay. Now, I applaud Christian Coleman for not getting arrested. He took it. I don't agree with the covering for her, but I do agree with that he handled it with, a certain level of poise, and that kept him from, let's just keep it real. He didn't do anything to get put in jail. So why would he have to handle the situation any differently than what he did, except for not snitching on her, which I would have done fully. But he didn't do anything wrong to have to act a certain way in this situation. So yeah, Ryan Clark missed me with all this, taking it easy on the woman and the black woman here in particular, because, men have been bad in history and, because we've been bad and all this kind of bull crap. Nah, man, nah. You're giving her, as the black people say in our community or their community, you're trying to give her grace in this situation. And what you're doing is making excuses for women that get in these positions. Because typically, yes, we see men do this and we always get held accountable. But when a woman gets held accountable, we're supposed to handle the situation with kid gloves. Negative, sir. But that's my bit. And with that being said, thank you for taking another episode of Welcome to Normieville. What do you think about Ryan Clark putting his cape on for Sha'carri Richardson on his podcast? Let me know what you think about it down in the comment section. And please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell. We're out of the door. And I will see you on the next video.